your songwriting skills really come from intuition. And so does your sound when you're trying to search for tone as well. Yes, trust your ears, but trust your gut even more.
Yes.
You have to really think about how is this project that you're working on making you feel in terms of every aspect of it. Is the movement of the music, right? The song form, is that what's doing it for you? Is it an element within the mix production wise that's doing it for you? Is it melodically what's doing it for you? Is it groove? There's all these aspects in everything that we do with music that contributes to the whole. But there's like, for example, a band like Lamb of God, they consider themselves groove metal. So what do they focus on most of the time? Groove.
Grooves, dude.
So
yeah, of course.
we're every time you listen to a Lamb of God song, it's always just like you could bop your head because you're just like, yeah, it's groovy. I'm loving it. So they capitalize on that and they know what makes them Lamb of God.
Yeah.
And that just, again, takes an awareness of your intuition of knowing what it's supposed to feel like. And sometimes that's in the beginning for us when we're starting out, we don't know what it is because it's all chaotic and we're just excited and we want to do this cool thing. But as you grow and mature in your songwriting, you become more aware of the sort of the icks of the things that you don't like or the things that you do like, and how those affect your emotional response and in others. So that's a key element of songwriting, is just being aware. It's kind of like learning more about yourself in a sense, to know what it is that you provide. What do you bring to the table that makes you you, but you can only do that by trying to write. So you have to kind of, as the old saying for, I think it was Andrew Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie was like, we dig in the dirt but we're not looking for dirt. We're looking for gold. So we dig a lot of dirt to find gold. And that's what you got to do when you're songwriting too. You got to keep writing and you got to go through that dirt to see what it is that really makes you who you are. And that's the gold nugget that you're looking for and all of that. So you have to just keep going. You have to just keep doing what you're doing.
Put in the work, and you don't find that right away, guys. A lot of times we, and even if we do find it, I don't know that there's really even finding it, because you evolve as a songwriter. You can look at the last thing you released was probably much different, or the thing you're working on right now, right? This new Homeric project, probably a little bit different, or much different even than the very first song that you ever put out there, ever wrote. My first professional release was Apocalyptic Dreams back in 2013. That album, an instrumental rock, instrumental metal, it was kind of like a Joe Satriani meets Metallica type of thing, if you had to label it. And that's much different than the latest album I released in 2019, Masterpiece, right? Which was on a 7-string, more along the kind of, Megadeth meets Amon Amarth type of thing. And this new thing that I'm writing now, it's much different from any of that. However, I will say this, you'll be able to tell it's Jason Stallworth. Just like when you release Homeric, you've got your style, Ken. You've got your writing style. You've got the way you build these progressions and do the structure. They'll be able to tell, okay, this is Ken Candelas. This is Homeric, right? So even my wife, she's not a musician, but I can be playing something on iTunes, and of course my own stuff will pop up. And she's not familiar with all my songs, but she knows it's me when she hears it. Even friends of mine, they know it's you because you develop your own style. You've got this thing about you, and every one of you listening right now, you have that, and you will continue to develop that. And I think that's important. Like Ken said, keep digging through the dirt. You'll find the gold nuggets along the way. And you'll start to find bigger ones along the way, because you will grow as a musician, but you've got to put in the time and the work and put in the effort. Don't expect to find gold the first time you dig.
Right. 100%. And, you might discover that, for example, like I'm not a person who turns around songs very quickly. My stuff is very premeditated. I have to sit and really think about how I want to intentionally write my music. which is why it takes me a long time to create an album. When it comes to other people, some people, they're much quicker, and their feel is very, sometimes it can even feel like it's almost as if they can take a jam session and turn that into a song. There are some people like that, and that's okay too. You have to know what works for you. And that might also give you some direction as to being true to yourself, but knowing which part of the industry is best for you, right? Is it better for you to try doing sync licensing because you just have so many ideas that keep coming out of your head that it has to be heard by the world in some way, shape, or form? Or do you have this one big giant, project that you want to really work on, and that's going to take some time, and you want to really flush that out? That's a decision that you'll have to make. So listen to yourself, and don't think that because an artist that you idolize is doing one other thing that negates what you should be doing, because that's what works for them. That may not work for you. That's also, let's relate it to something else. Scheduling your time of day, right? Are you a morning person or are you a night person? Well, if your idol is a morning person, doesn't mean that you have to be a morning person too. You could be a night person and do similar things that help maybe give you more focus during your peak hours. Those are things that I would listen to. Always listen to your body. Your body is the thing that's going to give you the right move, the right direction for you in your path.
That's funny because we kind of talked about that when our hardcore, what is hardcore podcast we did several episodes ago. I don't recall what number it was, but you have to go back and listen to that again because, we talked about that. I have typically woken up at 4:30 a.m. and some people are like, well, how do you do that? That's hardcore. But no, it's not hardcore. It's just the time I operate. I want to go to the gym at that time. When I get home, I start work. Whereas other people, like you said, Ken, their version of whatever you want to call it, hardcore or whatever, may be putting in the time and the work at night. That might serve them better. There's no right or wrong answer. It doesn't really matter. But you do, the principle here is you do have to put in the time, the effort, and the work. And I think you have to do what you love to do when it comes to music. What really gets you, Ken, like you said, if your thing is writing a bunch of instrumentals, because I can crank out riffs all day, man. I do it for YouTube. I just cranked out 3 songs for this new upgrade for our songwriting course that we're about to talk about next here. But I can crank out music as far as guitar-based stuff pretty quickly. I think a lot of my hang up is when it comes to the lyrics and the melodies, because I'm more picky about those. I want them to be just so impactful. They just have to punch you in the soul. So I spend a lot more time on lyrics and the melodies of my music as well. Be sure to listen to the entire podcast on metalmastermind.com. You can just click on podcast there or go to Spotify or Google Play. There are links in the description of this video. I want to say thank you so much for supporting and being a part of Metal Mastermind. And hey, drop us a comment if you have some things that you would like for us to cover in future podcasts. We'll see you on the next show. And remember, create your own sound and style.